Imagine Australia as a high-wire walker, carefully inching forward on a slender rope suspended high above the ground, balancing between two global giants. Every step is calculated, every movement watched, and the stakes could not be higher. On one side, there's the ever-present pull of history and security. On the other, the irresistible force of economic opportunity. Australia's position is precarious, and the world is watching to see if it can maintain its balance. For generations, the United States has been Australia's steadfast security ally, providing military support, intelligence sharing, and a sense of protection in an unpredictable world. The alliance with Washington has shaped Australia's defence policies and underpinned its sense of safety, especially in times of global uncertainty. Meanwhile, China has emerged as Australia's economic powerhouse, fueling its prosperity through trade, investment, and a seemingly insatiable demand for Australian resources. The economic relationship with Beijing has lifted living standards, created jobs, and filled government coffers, making China an indispensable partner. The decisions made in Canberra today will ripple far beyond Australia's borders. They will shape not only the nation's destiny, but also the future of the entire Indo-Pacific region, a region that is fast becoming the epicenter of global power struggles and economic competition. For decades, Australia thrived on a simple, almost elegant formula: security from Washington, prosperity from Beijing. This dual-track approach allowed Australia to enjoy the best of both worlds, forging deep ties with both superpowers without having to choose between them. But as the rivalry between the US and China intensifies, that formula is under unprecedented strain. The two giants are increasingly at odds, militarily, economically, and ideologically, forcing Australia into a position where neutrality is no longer an option. The return of Donald Trump to the White House has injected a new level of unpredictability into US foreign policy. Australia can no longer take American support for granted, as shifting priorities and abrupt policy changes in Washington create fresh uncertainties for its allies. At the same time, Xi Jinping's China is more assertive than ever, projecting power across the region and demanding greater loyalty from its trading partners. Beijing's willingness to use economic leverage as a tool of statecraft has put Australia under intense pressure. In this new era, every move Australia makes is scrutinized by both superpowers. Canberra faces open confrontation, with its leaders and policies constantly under the microscope, and the margin for error growing ever smaller. A single misstep could have devastating consequences, jeopardizing vital security arrangements or triggering economic retaliation that could cost thousands of jobs and billions in lost trade. The stakes are not just diplomatic, but deeply personal for millions of Australians. For everyday Australians, this high-stakes balancing act is no longer just a matter for politicians and diplomats. It's affecting jobs, the prices of goods in supermarkets, and the overall national mood. People are feeling the pressure in their daily lives, from the workplace to the dinner table. The balancing act is no longer theoretical. It's a daily reality that shapes conversations, influences business decisions, and even colors the way Australians see their place in the world. As the world changes around it, Australia must find a way to solve this complex puzzle, one that will determine not just its own future, but the stability and prosperity of the entire region. The choices made now will echo for generations to come. Australia's alliance with the United States was forged in the crucible of war, when both nations stood shoulder to shoulder during World War II. This partnership, born out of necessity and shared sacrifice, laid the foundation for a relationship that would shape Australia's security outlook for decades to come. The alliance was formalized in 1951 with the signing of the ANZUS Treaty, a pact that committed Australia, New Zealand, and the United States to mutual defense. For generations, this agreement has anchored Australia's sense of security, providing a powerful deterrent against external threats and cementing its place in the Western alliance system. But while Australia's security was tied to the US, its economic fortunes became increasingly linked to China. As China's economy exploded in the 21st century, Australia's vast reserves of iron ore, coal, and other resources found a hungry market. Today, nearly a third of Australia's exports are destined for China, making it the country's largest trading partner by far. For years, Australia managed to keep its security alliance with the US and its booming trade with China on separate tracks. Diplomats and business leaders spoke of a win-win scenario, where Australia could enjoy the best of both worlds. But as China's power and assertiveness have grown, the lines between security and trade have become increasingly blurred. Tensions came to a head when Australia called for an independent inquiry into the origins of COVID-19 and criticized Beijing's human rights record. In response, China imposed harsh trade sanctions on key Australian exports, from wine and barley to coal and beef. These actions exposed just how vulnerable Australia's economy was to political pressure from its biggest customer. At the same time, the US alliance now comes with higher expectations. As tensions rise over flashpoints like the South China Sea and Taiwan, Australia is being asked to play a more active role in regional security. Joint military exercises have increased, and the stakes in the Indo-Pacific have never been higher. Australia finds itself caught in a strategic dilemma. It relies on the United States for its security umbrella, but its prosperity is deeply entwined with Chinese trade. Navigating this tightrope is becoming more difficult as the rivalry between Washington and Beijing intensifies. For Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and his government, the challenge is daily and daunting: how to balance two vital but increasingly incompatible relationships. Every decision is scrutinized at home and abroad, with the risk of economic or strategic fallout never far away. In this new era of great power competition, the stakes for Australia have never been higher. The choices made now will shape the nation's future for generations to come. Enter AUKUS, a landmark pact with the US and UK to deliver nuclear-powered submarines to Australia. This is Australia's biggest defence investment ever, signalling a clear tilt toward Washington. But the project is complex, costly, and now clouded by Trump's unpredictability and a Pentagon review. China calls AUKUS a provocation, fueling a regional arms race. For Australia, it's a high-stakes bet: build deterrence, or risk provoking the very conflict it hopes to avoid. The outcome will shape Australia's security for decades. The world is watching to see if this gamble pays off. China isn't waiting for the future, it's flexing its muscles now. Chinese warships have circled Australia, and close calls between military aircraft have raised the risk of disaster. Beijing's message: back off or face consequences. Economically, China's trade sanctions hurt, and now its slowing demand for Australian resources threatens long-term prosperity. Trust in China among Australians has collapsed. The dragon's shadow looms large, forcing Australia to confront its greatest strategic challenge. The pressure is relentless, and the stakes are personal. Australia and the US are deepening their alliance beyond defense, targeting China's dominance in rare earth minerals. A new $8.5 billion deal will boost Australian mining and processing, aiming to break Beijing's grip on these critical resources. For Australia, it's a chance to diversify its economy and move up the value chain. For the US, it's about securing supply chains vital for technology and defense. But building a rival to China's rare earth industry will take years. The agreement is a bold signal, but the real work is just beginning. Australia is betting on resilience and new partnerships. The United States is urging Australia to significantly boost its defense spending, pushing for a target as high as 3.5% of GDP. This would represent a dramatic increase from current levels and would require a major shift in national priorities. The pressure is mounting as global tensions rise, especially in the Indo-Pacific region, where strategic competition is intensifying. For Australia, this is not just about numbers on a budget sheet, it's about redefining its role in a rapidly changing world. Canberra now faces a difficult dilemma: pay much more for security and defense, or risk losing access to the most advanced US military technology and intelligence. The stakes are high, as access to these technologies could determine Australia's ability to defend itself and contribute to regional stability. The alliance with the US has long been a cornerstone of Australian security, but the cost of maintaining that partnership is rising. But increasing military spending comes with real trade-offs. Every extra dollar spent on defense could mean less funding for hospitals, schools, and essential public services. Australians are being asked to consider what kind of country they want to be: one that prioritizes military strength, or one that invests in the health and education of its people. These are not easy choices, and the debate is growing more intense. The US is pushing for a rapid military buildup, especially with the possibility of a conflict over Taiwan looming on the horizon. Washington wants Australia to be ready to act quickly, to deter aggression and support allies. But many in Canberra believe a slower, more measured approach is wiser, one that balances immediate security needs with long-term national interests. This difference in priorities is putting real strain on the US-Australia alliance. While both countries share common values and interests, their approaches to security and defense are diverging. The tension is palpable in high-level meetings and public debates as leaders try to find common ground. As a result, the debate over defense spending has become one of the most pressing issues in Australian politics today. Politicians, experts, and everyday Australians are all weighing in, questioning how much is enough and what might be sacrificed in the process. In the end, Canberra must chart a course that protects the nation's security while also preserving the social fabric that Australians value. The choices made now will shape the country's future for generations to come. US-China rivalry is reshaping Australian politics and society. Most Australians distrust Trump's America, but still value the US alliance. Trust in China has collapsed, fueling support for a tougher stance. The Albanese government must balance alliance commitments with public skepticism about US leadership. Economic ties with China are under strain, raising fears for jobs and growth. The AUKUS deal's cost sparks debate over national priorities. Geopolitics is now a kitchen table issue, touching every Australian. The choice between America and China is no longer abstract, it's personal. The old strategy, security from the US, prosperity from China, is dead. Experts say Australia must now pursue asymmetric alignment, close with the US on security, flexible with China on trade. The goal is resilience, building strength at home to withstand pressure from either giant. This means saying yes to Washington on defense, but no when national interests diverge. It means trading with China, but not at any cost. The path is narrow, demanding skillful diplomacy and tough choices. In a world of superpower rivalry, it may be Australia's only option. Australia stands at a crossroads, forced to choose between deeper US alignment and a more independent path. Closer ties with Washington promise security, but risk entanglement and economic pain. A neutral stance might appease Beijing, but leaves Australia exposed and isolated. The real challenge is managing the consequences of a choice that's already being made. Australia is navigating a geopolitical storm, trying to protect its values, sovereignty, and prosperity. The stakes are enormous, and the world is watching. If you were on that high wire, which way would you lean? That's the question Australia must answer now.